Hello, I'm Roll, aka Mega Blitz. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Dragapult with Charizard EX. Now, Pult Zard, as I like to call it, was a deck that was kind of around for quite a bit, around different periods of time in the last probably about a year or so. But it's kind of fallen off as Dragapult Dusknoir just tends to be the better version to play, and Charizard has kind of just fallen to the wayside a little bit. However, just recently, watching the Atlanta Regionals, I had seen somebody playing Pult Zard on stream. I believe it was round 7, I think. And it made me really want to make a video about Pult Zard, because it's kind of one of my favorite pet decks to play. So that's what we're doing in today's video. So let's take a look at that deck list. Already here at that deck list. First, starting us off with Dragapult EX, one of the 2 stars of the show. We're going to have Dragapult EX 320 HP Stage 2 Pokemon with the Terra ability. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from yours and your opponent's Pokemon if it's on the bench. First attack being Jet Headbutt for 1 colorless 70 damage. Nothing too great. However, that Phantom Dive attack for that 1 fire and 1 psychic energy for 200 damage, and then you're able to put 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like. Now, Dragapult EX has really proven itself to be a very phenomenal Pokemon, seeing play in Regidrago V-Star, also seeing play in its deck of itself, Dragapult Dusknoir, which is kind of labeled the best deck in format in pre-rotation and current rotation, but also fits really well into Charizard Pult, or Pult Zard as I call it. And then we also have Charizard EX here with that Terra ability as well. Has an ability Infernal Rain where you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn. You make sure to deck up to 3 basic Fire Energy cards, attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Then it has an attack for double Fire Energy, Burning Darkness for 180 damage. This attack does 30 damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. So it will scale the longer the game goes on, which we are able to kind of force to have happen with the help of the Dusknoir and Dusclops package. So we're playing 2 Duskull, 1 Dusclops with that Curse Blast ability. Once during your turn, you put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you use this ability, this Pokemon is knocked out. Dusknoir does the same thing. However, it's 13 damage counters as opposed to that 5 damage counter. So we're able to kind of force our opponent to take some extra prizes, scaling our Charizard into the late game, also being able to set up better numbers for our Phantom Dive on our Dragapult. We're also playing 3 Drakloak for that Recon Directive. Look at the top card, or look at the top 2 cards, sorry, and then put 1 in your hand and the other one on the bottom. So a free 4-3-2 line for the Dragapult line, 2-1-1 for the Dusknoir line, and then a 2-1-2 for the Charizard line. We're also playing 1 copy of Budew because Itchy Pollen and item locking is absolutely insane right now. And we're playing 1 Fezandipiti for Flip the Script. We're playing 4 Arven, 3 Iona, 1 Turo, 1 Boss, 4 Buddy Poffin, 3 Rare Candy, 2 Night Stretcher, 2 Ultra Ball, 2 Counter Catcher, 2 Nest Ball, 1 Earthen Vessel, 1 Super Rod, 1 Terra Orb, Unfair Stamp as our ace bag of choice. The reason we're playing Unfair Stamp in here is because if we're able to just put our opponent in a position where they're just stuck on 2 cards, we're really able to mount a huge comeback with this deck and potentially take 3 to 4 prizes in a single turn, which is quite easy to do with this deck. 1 copy of Switch, 1 Defiance Band, 1 Rescue Board, 1 Tunneling Machine Evolution, 1 Pokemon League Headquarters, just because it helps out in a lot of the harder matchups for us, like Terapagos, or Raging Bolt is the one that first comes to my mind. Raging Bolt's a pretty tough matchup, I've kind of noticed into this deck, so it's very helpful into that. 5 Fire Energy, and then 2 Psychic Energy. We're playing more Fire Energy than Psychic Energy because we're able to use that Infernal Rain ability to kind of power up our Charizard. We only really need 2 Psychic Energy in the deck anyway, as Dragapult's attack only requires 1 Psychic, and we're only attacking with 1, maybe 2 Dragapult at most when playing this deck. But now, let's jump right in to that gameplay. Already here at that gameplay, here at the coin flip, we are going to want to go second. Going first is also fine, but I like to go second because if I can pull off a Technical Machine Evolution play, we're going to be sitting in a really good spot. Maybe we'll have our Drakloaks and stuff ready, maybe a Charmeleon on the bench or something. Could be really good as well. But starting off, we're going to have a Budew and a Duskull here on the bench. So we'll throw both those down just in case if we're playing against like Poison Package or Troodon or something like that. So throw down the Budew, throw down the Duskull. Starting hand's not too bad. We got Buddy Poffin, Nest Ball, Arven, Drakloak, and a Defiance Band. So hopefully we can go Arven, find Earthen Vessel to be able to find that energy, TM Evo, Buddy Poffin, and then evolve a bunch of stuff and go from there. Our opponent going to start that Ditto, however, transform to start into that Fan Rotom here. Going to be able to have access to that Fan Call ability and attach that water energy. Now, my first thought would be, oh, it's Palkia V-Star. However, that is long gone. No more Palkia. So, chances are playing against Terapagos to some degree. Probably playing like Grass Trumpets and stuff like that. Maybe a Terapagos Dusknoir package or something. We're just going to have to wait and see. But they're going to slam down 2 Hootoots here. In a situation where they're able to just take a knockout if we ever put a stadium in play for that Assault Landing on that Fan Rotom. But we're going to draw for turn here and get into our Dusclops. So we're going to go Arven probably to start off the turn. Going to try to find some pieces here. We're actually going to go Buddy Poffin first. And we're going to look at the board. I'm going to okay, I can get myself both these Dreepies and should be okay. We're going to go Arven. We're going to grab ourselves that Earthen Vessel and that Technical Machine Evolution. Earthen Vessel is going to pitch. We were thinking about pitching the Dusclops, and then I was like, oh, probably the Nest Ball is probably better. So we'll pitch both of those. Attach the Fire Energy to the Budew, attach the Machine Evolution to the Budew, and then we're going to Evolution. Now, you could argue that it might have been actually better to just Itchy Pollen for a turn there. However, my thought is if they had the Terapagos to just draw into it, then they also have Noctowl in hand, so they're just going to like Jewel Seeker out of it anyway. So the thought is I'd rather set up, because now our opponents already put themselves in a pretty like demanding situation where I know they have a Noctowl in hand. If they find that Terra Pokemon, they can just Jewel Seeker and do a bunch of stuff, which they had Terapagos in hand anyway. So it kind of confirms that I probably like going Evolution play was the right play. Because if I Itchy Pollen there, it doesn't even matter, because they can just Jewel Seeker, find like Crispin, and go from there or whatever, right? So Evolution felt like the right play, being able to kind of just get some stuff set up. We have Dusclops in hand next turn, so we can evolve our Duskull into Dusclops. We're going to be able to have Recon Directives going as well, try to find some more pieces here, and go from there. But our opponent here going to have double Jewel Seeker. First one getting that Crispin and Nest Ball. Second one here going to be getting Air Zero Underdepths and another Nest Ball. So maybe the Itchy Pollen would have worked out, because we're going to stop both of these Nest Balls from coming out, but not too big of a deal. Nest Ball going to get a Hoothoot, and maybe looking at the other Nest Ball going to get played potentially here as well. We're just going to have to wait and see. If our opponent plays the Air Zero Underdepths this turn as well, they're going to be able to Assault Landing and take out the knockout on the Budew. So at least we get the Evolution out of it, right? Our opponent here going to Nest Ball again, however. Thinking, my guess if they had to grab anything, it'd probably maybe be another second Terapagos or something. They're going to grab that Latios EX, actually. Make it so they have that free retreat out of all of their basic Pokemon. So that Fan Rotom, that Hoothoot, Latios EX itself, and the Terapagos as well. So, just got to wait and see here. Air Zero Underdepth's going to come down. So they're going to able to have a big bench, which also eventually we will be able to as well if we can get into our Charizard or our Dragapult. Will be pretty nice. So Assault Landing going to come down here. Take a knockout on our Budew, putting us at a 6-5 split, unfortunately. But we're going to be able to promote one of our Drakloaks here. Going to be able to try to get into a Recon Directive. I actually ended up promoting the Duskull here. And I think the reason is because I could actually Curse Blast this turn. But we're going to bench the Charmander here, evolve into the Dusclops. And then we're going to look at some Recon Directives. So Recon Directive here. And I'm like, well, that's great. We'll grab ourselves the Ultra Ball, I guess. Recon Directive. And find ourselves into a Rare Candy. Not really what we wanted, but not too big of a deal. We're going to discard the Drakloak and the Psychic Energy. I can't Rare Candy this turn, however, which kind of stinks. But next turn I can go Rare Candy, get some energies in play, and then be able to also kind of put myself in a situation where I'm threatening a huge Burning Darkness attack for 240 damage, and then kind of being able to take one-hit knockouts on the Terapagos or the Latios or things like that. But my opponent does see that, so they go Boss's Orders, pull up our Charmander, unfortunately, Assault Landing for 70. Really needed them to not have Boss in that moment there, because that Rare Candy would have been pretty huge. Because I've been able to Curse Blast as well, and then put myself in the situation where I could have been hitting for 240. But my opponent was one step ahead, unfortunately. So back to us here, and now I'm kind of in a very interesting spot, right? Our hand's not super great. We need some really good Recon Directives coming out. Our opponent is up 2 prizes. They're also not really in a great demanding lead either, though, so we'll have to see what happens. So Recon Directive here. Gonna get that Fezandipiti EX. We're gonna be able to have flip the script here. Now, this deck could be very useful to play like one Crispin, I would think, but unfortunately, there's not really room for it that I have found. So we're going to attach the Fire Energy. We're going to attach the Defiance Band as well. We're going to rip the Unfair Stamp. Each player shuffles a hand of their deck. We get 5. They get 2 because they took a knockout. bench the Duskull. We're going to Fezandipiti, flip the script here, getting ourselves into a couple more pieces here. We're going to be looking at the deck, and I'm like, man, I could be doing more. We're going to Buddy PAF in here. We're going to get ourselves another Charmander, it's looking like, so I can get myself into a Charizard potentially in the following turns to have that nice backup attacker. We're in a situation now where we really need to get very tactical with how we're playing the game. We really need to be making sure that we are prioritizing certain knockouts on certain things and making sure that we're using our Curse Blast effectively and making sure that we're kind of just spreading damage to take multiple prize turns, or putting ourselves in a situation where we can just shove a Charizard in the active spot and say, you have to deal with this big Charizard, figure it out. So our opponent is now into a dud hand, which is great. So they're just going to Assault Landing for 70 right into our Drakloak here. We're going to Recon Directive, get an Iona, Recon Directive again, get myself into a Charizard EX. So we're going to be able to Rare Candy into the Charizard here. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Rare Candy into Charizard. Going to be able to get 3 Fire Energies right out of the deck here, which is all we had left, which is perfect. So I'm looking at the board, seeing what I should be doing. So we're going to put 2 to the Charizard, then we're going to put 1 to that Drakloak there on the bench, and then I'm going to be able to attach my Psychic Energy to the active Drakloak as well. And then I'm going to have to play an Iona, which I don't really want to have to do because it's only going to give them, a better hand potentially, but I need to find myself that Dragapult. So we do end up finding Dragapult, which is great. But first, Rare Candy into that Dusknoir there, evolve into the Dragapult. And now this is where I make a little bit of a misplay. I end up Curse Blasting the Terapagos on the bench with this Dusclops, and I didn't need to do that because I already take Knockout on it because of the Defiance Band, but I forgot I had Defiance Band on my Dragapult, so oops, but it's okay. So they're going to take a knockout, or they're going to get an extra prize there, so it puts at 3 prizes. I pull up the Terapagos, I take the knockout on the Terapagos, and it's whatever. And this is the moment where I like look at it and I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me, I had Defiance Band. So we were hitting for 230. I should have put 5 on maybe like the Fan Rotom or something and kind of gone from there, but alas, nothing you can do about it now. So we are going to just spread some damage counters, put 10 on the Latias, 10 on the Fan Rotom, 3 on that Hoothoot, and then we're going to put 10 on the Noctowl. Now, I should have put all 4 on the Hoothoot, probably would have been a better idea, because then I can, if they evolve in a Noctowl, then I can just put 6 on it and we're going there. But not too big of a deal either way, regardless. Putting us at a 4-3 split, so we're in a pretty good spot. I could have put myself in a situation, though, where we were both on the same prizes. However, it could work out in our favor, though, because now my counter catchers are still available. So that's pretty nice, and we've only used 1 counter catcher. So doing that kind of does feel good, but my opponent also makes a misplay. So it kind of works out, because they bench the Lily's Clefairy EX, attach Psychic Energy, which is great, but then they put the Crystal on it for absolutely 0 reason, because it doesn't work, and it's not a Terra Pokemon, so it doesn't make it any cheaper. So it kind of works out. Great. So our opponent now has this Lily's Clefairy EX in the active spot that they can't attack with because they've already committed the energy to it, and Crystal doesn't make it cost any less. They would have maybe needed something like Counter Gain, but they're ahead on prizes, so that also wouldn't have worked. So maybe my little misplay kind of worked out in our favor a little bit. I'm not too sure. But our opponent's just going to pass back to us, and I realize, oh, I just have game, right? So we go Curse Blast, and then I'm going to put 13 on that Noctowl, take a prize here. So our opponent's going to take a prize also, so it's going to take, they're going to go to 2 prizes. We're going to go to 3 prize cards, and then I'm going to be able to Phantom Dive into the Lily's Clefairy EX for 200, and then be able to put 6 damage counters on that Fan Rotom to take my last 3 prize cards. Really being able to showcase the pure flexibility and strength of Dragapult Dusknoir, and the Pult Zard package in of itself. Because let's say if they do end up taking a knockout there and go to 1 prize card on our Dragapult, then we just shove our Charizard EX up in the active spot, and they have to deal with this 330 HP Charizard that's hitting for 330. So they're kind of in an interesting situation, and we kind of had them checkmated after that unfair stamp, really being able to kind of just put them into some dead hands, and then the Iona also sticking pretty well does tend to help. So now let's jump right in to that outro. Oh, but it's going to do it for today's video. Make sure to put the decklist that I played in today's video in the description below, ready for copy paste into TCG Live. And while you're down there, if you're enjoying the content I've been making for the channel, don't forget to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. And of course, make sure to follow me on Twitter and follow me on TikTok and join the Mega Blitz PokeCove Discord as well. But before we end today's video, I want to give a huge shout out to all of my awesome channel members that you see here. They continue to support the channel even further by joining the Trainer Club here on YouTube. For only 99 cents a month, you could be in the Trainer Club as well, getting access to these exclusive badges that you see here, different colored rare candies. You get exclusive emotes that you can use here on the channel, and you get a special role in Discord, photo and status updates, priority reply to comments, and a whole lot more. But let's get it all for today's video. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!